بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله حمدا كثيرا طيبا مباركا فيه. الحمد لله الذي خلق الإنسان في أحسن تقويم. الحمد لله جل وعلا، وصلى الله وسلم على رسوله المصطفى ونبيه المجتبى وأمينه على وحي السماء، وعلى آله النجبى وأصحابه الأتقياء خير الخلائق بعد الأنبياء، ومن بهديهم اقتدى وبآثارهم اقتفى من المحدثين والمفسرين والفقهاء إلى يوم الجزاء. أما بعد، فقد قال جل وعلا بعد أن أقول أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم: أفمن شرح الله صدره للإسلام فهو على نور من ربه فويل للقاسية قلوبهم من ذكر الله أولئك في ضلال مبين. الله نزل أحسن الحديث كتابا متشابها مثانية تقشعر منه جلود الذين يخشون ربهم ثم تلين جلودهم وقلوبهم إلى ذكر الله، ذلك هدى الله يهدي به من يشاء ومن يضلل الله فما له من هاد. صدق الله العظيم. وقال النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم: إن هذا الدين خير ولهذا الخير مفاتيح، فطوبى لعبد جعله الله مفتاحا للخير ومغلاقا للشر، وويل لعبد جعله الله مفتاحا للشر ومغلاقا للخير، أو كما قال صلى الله عليه وسلم. I begin in the name of Allah, the most gracious, the most merciful. I send my humble salutations upon the children of Muhammad, his companions, his family members, and those who follow their footsteps until the day of resurrection. And I greet you with the greeting of Islam. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Respected brothers and sisters, indeed it's a great blessing of the Almighty Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that with His grace and infinite mercy He has given us another opportunity and our ability to sit in the house of Allah Azza wa Jal on this blessed day of Jumu'ah. As the month of July is about to start and is one of the most historical months in the climate and the area that we live in, the recognition of independence. Now many of us think, especially those that have migrated and those who have grown up in the migrated families, that there has always been a separation between our society that we live in and our faith that we follow. So it's always been that and this, or us and them. And we have been living for many, many years, and our children, and in fact for some of us even our grandchildren, have been born in this country. And moving forward, we became and adopted many of the facilities, opportunities, comfort that is provided to us by the area that we live in, yet we fail to accept that we are part of the society. So when it comes to the matter of acknowledging the independence, many of us just follow the independence of those countries that we have migrated from, and we completely neglect that something has ever happened, except for the fact of accepting and enjoying the holiday of 4th of July. That's the only thing that we take a pride in, that we are happy now we're out of work, we don't have to work this day, and this day is a holiday, so let's celebrate in our comfort. But neglecting the fact that the sacrifices of those people who did make ultimate sacrifice in making this country and providing freedom to those people who were living. Not to forget that there were many Muslims that was part of the whole movement from the beginning when this country was founded. In fact, 1/4 of the immigrants, the slaves that came into the country, were Muslims. The first acknowledgement of a mosque that took place in this country was in 1893. The first ground-built mosque in this country was in 1929. And the oldest mosque that exists in current situation in Iowa was built in 1936. So we go back, a lot back than we can ever think of. A lot further than what we ever thought of. But now, first of all, accepting that fact that we are part of this nation, and our contribution, our ability, our understanding, our faith is part of this culture and of this country. Until and unless that portion is not accepted, when you don't consider something as part of you, it's very difficult to even contribute towards it. It's like living in a rented property. When you're living in a rented property, what happens? Many of you, mashallah, right now it's a holiday season, so probably a lot of you have rented cars, right? Rented cars to go places, go further distances. But at the end of the day, when you're driving that car and your child spills something in that car, you say, oh, forget it, it's rental. Right? Because it's not your own personal. But when it's your personal, then it hurts, correct? When something goes wrong with it, if a child spills something in your car, and it says, why don't you be cautious? Clean it up. Make sure you don't leave the stains. I don't want my car to smell like curry, right? Not the basketball player curry, I'm talking about the eating curry, okay? So, many things. So that difference between personal and rental, you're taking the benefit of it, and at the same time, you don't consider it your own. And that, unfortunately, has developed into the minds of many people that we take benefit of cities, living in this country, being part of this country. In fact, our children are born in this country. They have many privileges which other children and other people don't have. Education, life standard, having the ability to do many things, and until even having the opportunity of all of these things, we're not accepting the fact that we are part of it and this belongs to us. And we treat it as our own. So that's the first thing that I wanted to discuss in today's khutbah, that as this month is going to start and many people are going to take pride in independence. Of course, in Islamic perspective, you are allowed to express that feeling. In the time of Rasul sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, the biggest achievement, the biggest time that Muslims received achievement, but at the time of migration. And that migration became so recognized that the Islamic calendar was based on hijrah. The Islamic calendar was based on migration. When during the time of Umar ibn al-Khattab radiallahu anhu in the 16th year of Hijrah, when there was a need which was brought forward by Abu Sa'id al-Khudri radiallahu anhu, but when we send out letters to the areas which are far away, and when those letters are reached, only the month was written and there was no year. So there was a lot of confusion that was created. So at that time, Umar radiallahu anhu got people together to acknowledge and to understand what are we going to base our year on? What are we going to base our year on? So some people said, well, we'll base it on the Battle of Badr, which was the first battle that took place in Islam. Some people say we will start from the revelation, when the Prophet ﷺ received his first revelation. Some people say let's start from Fatih Makkah, which is the conquest of Mecca. But the opinion which was given by many, and then later on agreed upon by all, was about migration independence. When Muslims got the freedom to worship Allah, when they got the freedom to own and to be proud of the properties that is given to them, when they received many freedoms after coming to migration, after coming to Medina. So that hijrah became the basis of calendar which we follow until now, which the Muslims take pride in. So acknowledgement of that fact is part of our faith. As long as you do it with the limits, as long as you are understanding this fact. But neglecting, overminding, not considering, and many of us go to, making it haram, impermissible, the act of shaitan and devil, all of these things, this is narrowness in our mind and in our faith. And this is the tightness of our Islamic understanding. Because from the beginning, Islam has recognized the freedom that Allah Azza wa Jal gave from the time of migration by basing the Islamic calendar on that. And later on, Muslims, they followed it. And every year when the new Islamic calendar starts, as we start the month of Shawwal, and then the Qa'dah, the Hijjah in 3 months, the year is going to change again in the Islamic calendar. It's going to be recognized. Those sacrifices need, because in independence, there are many people that have given sacrifice. There are people that have given sacrifice. There are individuals who gave their life. From the time of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, when they migrated from Mecca to Medina, this was the same situation. Many companions, a lot of them gave a lot, whatever they had. Sahaba say, whatever blessings Allah Azza wa Jal gave, we all gave it away just for the sacrifice of migration. And that's why their sacrifice was recognized. They became the muhajirin, the immigrants, those who migrated from Mecca to Medina. But what did these people do when they migrated? Not only getting involved in the economic aspects of that area, but they got involved in every aspect, and they contributed from their side whatever they can. And what did the people of Medina do? The people of Medina opened their doors for them. They welcomed them. They helped them. Which is happening. And nowadays it's easier to understand, because Sacramento is one of the most highest ranked populated area where many of the refugees are coming in. And when these refugees, they come in, what happens to them? They're not just left behind, they have house aid. They have financial assistance. They have all of this system. And this whole system came from our perspective, our understanding, our Islamic teachings, helping those people out. But unfortunately, we forgot completely of that aspect, and we went on a different trial, different route. All of these situations, all of these things that we are noticing now, and for us who are living in Sacramento, it's very easy to understand that. When these people, the refugees that come into this area, because Sacramento is one of in the country, one of the highest population of receiving refugees. One of the highest population in receiving refugees. And just in the past 2 years, more than 20,000 plus families have just moved into Sacramento City. And what happens to them when they come here? When they come here, they're not just left alone, no. They are provided with assistance. And this was the teachings of Islam. This was all built on the basis of what? On the migration of Hijrah. When the Muhajirin, they migrated from Mecca to Medina, what did the people of Medina do? Now our part is just, okay, mashallah, that's organization, or this organization is taking care of it, I don't have to worry about it at all. No. Because every Ansar of Medina, what did they do? They gave whatever they had. Whatever ability Allah gave them, they presented. Why? Because yesterday was my turn, today is their turn, and tomorrow someone else's turn. Acknowledging these are the things that needs to be reminded in our society, in our community. That how Islam, it took the rank of the first, or to become first in the line. because of great understandings, great practices, great beliefs. And that's what we need to revive, and not only revive, but practice it in our daily life. So I'm going to mention in front of you about a hadith of the Prophet ﷺ, which we can derive many lessons from. Suwayd ibn al-Harith al-Azdi, from Qabila al-Azd. This was a group of people, of 15 people from the area of Azd. They migrated to Medina, they came into Medina. So Suwayd ibn al-Harith al-Azdi says, when we arrived in Medina, we came to meet the Prophet ﷺ. So the Prophet ﷺ asked us, Man antum? Who are you? We said, Mu'minun, we are believers. فَتَبَسَّمَ النَّبِيُّ صَلَّى اللَّهُ عَلَيْهِ وَسَلَّمَ. The Prophet ﷺ started to smile. Okay, mashallah, you are believers, very nice. لِكُلِّ قَوْلٍ حَقِيقَةٌ فَمَا حَقِيقَةُ قَوْلِكَ. Every statement, there is a reality behind it. When you are claiming to be someone, you have to prove it. So what's your proof that you are believers? How do you prove that? So Suwayd ibn al-Harith al-Azdi, who was the leader amongst them, he replied, O Prophet of Allah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, there are 15 things that we do in our life which recognizes us as believers. Amongst the 15, 10 of them are those which were given to us by you, the people that came to us and taught us about Islam. And 5 of them are those that we inherited from our forefathers. If you like us to keep them in our practices, we will do so. But if you dislike them and disapprove them, then we will let them go. We won't practice them anymore. So the Prophet ﷺ said, فَمَا الْخَمْسَ الَّذِي آمَنْتُمْ بِهِ. What are the 5 things that you believe in? He says, well, we believe in Allah, His Rasul, His angels, His books, everything that is predetermined by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, life after death. Okay, very good, mashallah. The principles of Islam, no explanation needed. What are the 5 things that you have been told to practice, which was given to you by my messenger? The Prophet ﷺ asked. He says, we were told to believe in when Allah established our prayer, give our zakah, fast in the month of Ramadan, and do hajj if we have the ability to do so. The Prophet ﷺ said, well, fair enough. And then he said, the Prophet ﷺ said, فَمَا الْخِصَالُ الَّتِي تَخَلَّقْتُمْ فِي الْجَاهِلِيَّةِ. What are the 5 things that you inherited from your forefathers in the time of ignorance? And this is the point that I want to make sure, and then the 5 things that the Prophet ﷺ added. So there are 20 of the points that the Prophet ﷺ mentioned. 5 upon beliefs, 5 upon action. So 5 pillars of Islam, 5 particles amongst the 6 on believing in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So he said the 5 things that we inherited from our forefathers were الشكر عند الرخاء والصبر عند البلاء. Number 1 is to show gratitude at the time of happiness. Show gratitude at the time of happiness. What happens when a happiness comes in? The first person or the first thing that we forget is Allah Azza wa Jalla, the one who gave us that happiness. The one who gave us the happiness, we forget Him, we completely neglect Him, and then we go and celebrating the ways that we want. Acknowledge the people that we want, but we don't acknowledge Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Because shukr, number 1 is, the first action of shukr is to acknowledge it by your tongue. The second act of shukr is to consider it, to take pride in it, to understand that this is a blessing of Allah Azza wa Jalla in your heart. Number 3 is to use it in a way that Allah is not angry. The bounty that Allah has given, use it in a way that Allah Azza wa Jalla He is not displeased with us. This is the acts of shukr. So the first thing that we inherited from our forefathers is الشكر عند الرخاء, is to be happy, to show gratitude at the time of extreme joy. والصبر عند البلاء, and to have patience at the time of calamity, and not to complain. And not to complain. To have patience at the time of calamity. Calamity can be in many ways. Physical, family, work, society, it can be in many ways. But to have patience in it. And then, number 3, وَالصِّدْقُ فِي مَوَاطِنِ النِّقَامِ, to speak the truth at the time when you are in difficulty. فِي لِقَاءِ الْعَدُوِّ أَوْ الْمُصِيبَةِ, at the time of difficulty or looking at facing an enemy or any other situation, do not leave the truth. Stand up for what is right. And this is the same thing that I want to emphasize on, that as we are recognizing ourselves for this Independence Day which is coming, we need to stand up for what is right. Understand the right and stand up for what is right. So that's number 3, to stand up for what is right and to be truthful in all circumstances and situations. وَالرَّضَى بِمُرِّ الْقَضَى, no matter how situation changes on you, be happy with contentment Allah Azza wa Jalla. I'm happy with the situation that Allah has put me in. Either they are favorable or they're not favorable. But admitting the fact that Allah Azza wa Jalla has decided this fact for me, I'm going to stay content and happy with this. And number 5 is وَتَرْكُ الشَّمَاتَةِ الْأَعْدَاءِ إِذَا حَلَّتْ بِهِمُ الْمُصِيبَةِ. And we never get happy when our enemies are in difficulties. We never get happy when our enemies are in difficulties. Over here, may Allah forgive, but even our friend, our family member is in difficulty, at that time we say, yes, he got it. Yes, he's going through it. Let him taste it now. No. These were those people who said no. And this is what? This is a criteria that we have to establish in the society that we live in. This is the message of independence. That as believers, as followers of Islam, as we proclaim that Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam is our role model, and we establish that in our understanding and in our life, that we take the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam as a person that we follow throughout our life. These are the criteria that we need to see. We have patience. We don't leave the truth no matter what comes our way. No matter what is decided, we are content. We submit to the fact that Allah has decided for us. And when others are going through difficulties, we stand next to them and help them out. No matter how much bad they have done to us. No matter how much wrong they have done to us. No matter how much negative message they have spread about us. But we stand in line when they are going through situations, conditions, we stand in line. وَتَرْكُ الشَّمَاتَةِ, we don't make mockery of them. We don't become happy of other people's difficulty. No, that's not the quality of a believer. And look at when they express these 5 things, what did the Prophet ﷺ say? First of all, the Prophet ﷺ smiled at them. فَتَبَسَّمَ النَّبِيُّ صَلَّى اللَّهُ عَلَيْهِ وَسَلَّمَ. And then he said, أُدَبَاء حُلَمَاء كَادُوا أَن يَكُونُوا أَنْبِيَاءَ. You are the best of people, the most eloquent people, the most forbearing people, and the most intelligent people. The only thing is different, you can become prophets also. But the prophethood is finished, right? Because Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam is the last prophet. كَادُوا أَن يَكُونُوا أَنْبِيَاءَ. You're very close to becoming prophets. Because these are the qualities that exist inside Anbiya. And you possess them. You have them. You bring them into your life. Sahaba say these were the most highest caliber of individual amongst the people, amongst companions of the Prophet ﷺ. So they said these are the 15 things, which is what? What are we talking about here? These are the 15 things that makes us recognized as believers, as mu'mineen, as muslimin. Because the Prophet ﷺ asked them the evidence of their proclamation, of their statement. That you are proclaiming that you are the possessor of faith, show it to me, prove it to me. And they mentioned these 15 things. That these are the actions that makes us believers. And the Prophet ﷺ even took them on a higher level. You're not just believers, you are the intelligent believers. You are the most forbearing believers. You are the most greatest believers. And in fact, you can become prophets by these qualities possessing inside you. And then Nabi ﷺ added 5 more things, and he told them that if you can do this, and that's it. You are up there, you've reached. لا تبنوا ما لا تسكنوا. Do not make things that you cannot live in. And this is self-rectification for individuals. Because as believers, we have to care for society and we have to care for our own selves. So these qualities that Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, that they had inside, these are rectification of society. Now the 5 things that the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam is telling them to add and practice, these are rectification of your own self. Number 1 is, do not build on things that you cannot live in. Meaning, do not go according to your desires. Do not go according to your desires. What Allah has given you, be content with it. Have contentment in it. So do not make things that you're not able to live in it. A person builds a mashallah very big house and then he's not able to live in it. Why? Because he has to make 2 or 3 jobs just to pay that off. Just to pay it off, he is doing 3 to 4 jobs every single day. He has no time to live in it. So the Prophet ﷺ said, why are you building something that you cannot live in it? Because sukan is what? Sukan is from the word of sakina, is to give you contentment, sukun. And if your sukan is not giving you sukun, then it's not sukan. If your place of living is not giving you contentment, it's not giving you peace of mind, then it's not sukan. It's musibah. It's difficult. Number 2, the Prophet ﷺ told them, فَلَا تَجْمَعُوا مَا لَا تَأْكُلُوا. Do not gather things which you are not able to eat, or which you are not able to use. And what you are able to use, Rasul ﷺ said, يَقُولُ ابْنُ آدَمْ مَالِي مَالِي مَالِي. A person says, my wealth, my wealth, my wealth. فَهَلَّكَ ابْنِ آدَمْ, may you human being be destroyed. فَإِنَّ مَالُكَ, indeed your wealth is what? أَكَلْتَ فَأَفْنَيْتَ. You had it, you ate it, you used it, it's done now. أَوْ تَصَدَّقْتَ, or you gave in charity and you preserved it for the life of your after. That's your wealth. Whatever is left over, you're going to leave it behind for other people. That's why when a person dies, he only owns 1/3 of his wealth. 2/3 goes somewhere else. When you leave, the moment soul departs from this world, the soul departs from the body, 2/3 of your wealth possession is gone. The first thing that you lose. The first thing that you lose when you leave from this world, immediately as the soul departs from the body, 2/3 of it is gone. You can only have 1/3 possession. So whatever wasiyah you make, whatever things that you want to contribute to this place or that place, to give this or do that, it's only in 1/3. That's it. 2/3 is already gone. So Rasul ﷺ said, فَلَا تَجْمَعُوا مَا لَا تَأْكُلُوا. If you're not able to consume, do not start counting and bringing it in. That's for your own self-rectification. If you do that, you will become the happiest man on earth. Inshallah. Number 3, Rasul ﷺ said, وَلَا تَنَافَسُونَ فِي شَيْءٍ غَدًا أَنْتُمْ رَاحِلُونَ. Do not compete in things that tomorrow you're going to leave it behind. My car, my house, this. Tomorrow you're going to leave it behind. These are all things that are going to finish. So why have pride in it? What are you supposed to compete in? وَفِي ذَلِكَ فَلْيَتَنَافَسِ الْمُتَنَافِسُونَ. Allah says there are people who compete in good actions. They're competing in asking forgiveness from Allah. They're competing in good deeds. And these are the things that you're supposed to compete in. Do not compete in things that you're going to leave behind and never to use it in the future. The next one, Rasul sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, build your life on things which are going to stay with you forever, even after you die. And these are a'mal. And fear Allah in all, and that's the last thing, fear Allah in all aspects of your life. These are the lessons that we need to establish in our life for our self-rectification, to contribute to the society that we live in, to understand the fact and accept the fact that we are part of the society, and to love it, to be part of it, to contribute to it, to consider its loss as our loss, to consider its gain as our gain. All of these things that needs to be refreshed in our mind, and that needs to be reestablished in our mind. And indeed, it's not a hadith, but some of the scholars have said, حُبُّ الْوَطَنِ مِنَ الْإِيمَانِ. Loving the area that you live in is also part of your understanding of belief. It's also recognizing your belief. Of course, we need to come out from this differentiation, because as the community has contributed towards us, we need to go and give back to the community as much as we can. May Allah grant us the ability to do that. May Allah Azza wa Jalla make us among those who are honest with Allah and who are honest with the creation of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. May Allah accept our efforts. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make us among those people who are not only preparing for this world, but they are also preparing for the life of hereafter. أقول قولي هذا استغفر الله لي ولكم ولسائر المسلمين فاستغفروه إنه هو الغفور الرحيم. الحمد لله حمدا كثيرا طيبا مباركا فيه. الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور انفسنا. من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلن تجد له وليا مرشدا. واشهد ان لا اله الا الله وحده لا شريك له واشهد ان سيدنا ومولانا محمدا عبده ورسوله صلوات الله عليه وعلى اله وصحبه وبارك وسلم تسليما كثيرا كثيرا. أما بعد، فأعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. إن الله وملائكته يصلون على النبي يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما. اللهم صل على محمد وعلى آل محمد بعدد من صلى وصام، وصل على محمد وعلى آل محمد بعدد من قعد وقام، وصل على جميع الأنبياء والمرسلين والصحابة المقربين رضوان الله عليهم أجمعين. I begin in the name of Allah, the most gracious, the most merciful. Salutations upon Prophet Muhammad, his companions, his family members, and those who follow their footsteps until the day of resurrection. Respected brothers and sisters, indeed, Allah Azza wa Jalla has made us go through this blessed month of Ramadan. And to keep the spirit of the month of Ramadan, let's try to do at least 50% of what we were doing in the month of Ramadan by continuing with our ibadat, our worship, our contribution, our help to the society, to the people, our kind characters, controlling ourselves in many ways. Things that we developed throughout the month of Ramadan, let it not go to waste, and in fact, utilize it. Otherwise, when you don't use something, eventually it vanishes away from your body, from your character, from your abilities. So let's, whatever efforts that we had made throughout the month of Ramadan, may Allah Azza wa Jal grant us the ability to practice those into our life, and may Allah Azza wa Jal give us the ability to increase in it, inshallah.